I have joining me via the telephone Barrister Eze Eluche. Barrister Eze Eluche is a political, national and social affairs commentator. He is also a court-going lawyer. And of course, you know how Barrister Eze gets to explain these issues. He's here to give us in-depth insight on his perspective to some of the questions that we posed at him. Barrister Eze, good afternoon and thank you for joining us on the World News at 12.
Thank you very much for the invite. It's my pleasure.
All right. Barrister Esther, so let me start off with this. You heard Kaide Egbetokun yesterday. He actually organized a press conference where he said that the reason why they were trying to ask that the protesters or organizers of the protesters should shelve this protest was because they knew that some individuals may take advantage of it to create what you call a breakdown of law and order. Yesterday in Maiduguri, we saw police shoot at some of the protesters. They went to the Emir's palace, and while they barricaded the Emir's palace, they wanted to break through the barricade, and of course gunshots were entered the air. Also, we saw in a filling station, I think in Niger State yesterday, it was quite a gory sight. 4 persons were shot dead. Now the police, based on what Kaide Egbetokun is saying, he's saying that there was an explosion, but witnesses who were able to speak with the press said that it was not an explosion. It was a stray bullet by the police that shot those persons and they died on the spot. Now curfew has been imposed in some states. Now the police is also stating that they may have to actually join or collaborate with other security agencies, which includes the Nigerian military as well, to see how they can block or stop this protest from becoming something else. What's your take on this development?
Well, my take is that in Abuja particularly, the crowd, the protesters, the video evidence that's available to all in the public domain shows more than 5 buses being trucked into the venue, right within the eyesight of the police. So Mr. Egbetokun and his colleagues who were there did not stop those thugs from being trucked in. And this is what some of us have always said, that the people that actually mess up protests are the government and its agencies. Those thugs, the crisis actually started in Abuja when those 5 buses landed, filled with thugs, who are sponsored likely by those who are anti the protest. Now, this is where we have video evidence. Nobody knows what transpired in Maiduguri or in Niger State and Kaduna, where you mentioned. The people were actually protesting and it was peaceful. So we have to ask ourselves, what happened in each of those areas? And at yesterday's press conference, I saw Mr. Egbetokun and his colleagues wearing red armbands. And they had the audacity to say that they had now unleashed, it was more like a martial situation now where they have to strike. It was ridiculous. For several months, security has been very lax in Nigeria. Terrorists, kidnappers have been taking Nigeria at will. And the Nigerian police did not see the reason to wear these red armbands. Now they have to wear red armbands to address or to tackle Nigerians. Let it be known to this IG of police that he will be ultimately responsible for the killings that occur. The role of the police is expected to guide and protect protesters who are involved in peaceful protests, and ensure that these things don't go out of the normal purview of activities. But when the police, right from their police management meetings, decide that they are now at war with the people, it is most unfortunate.
Barrister Eze Eluche, apparently Governor Dakwa Abiodun has said that Nigerians are sore losers and they should wait till 2027 if they do not want President Tinubu. He described some Nigerians involved in the protests as those who have refused to accept that they have lost the 2023 elections and that their preferred candidate did not win. He says that most of them are hiding under the guise of protest to express their dissatisfaction with the president, and that he's saying such persons should rather be patient till 2027 rather than sponsor faceless protests against the government. He says, if you don't want Tinubu, well, wait. President, he is the president, and those that voted for him are keeping him in power. This submission was made last night. Now, Barrister, let me take you back again. You recall that the Inspector General of Police, the DHQ, the Defense Headquarters, most of them had actually called for what you would call a shelf on the planned protest. They were afraid that what transpired during the End SARS protest will repeat itself again. But guess what? Before that, the spokesperson to the president, Bayo Nanuga, as well as other supporters of this administration, have actually alleged that this protest was being sponsored by some certain ethnic groups. They have also affiliated some political personalities to be the spearhead of this particular protest. But if you see where there was breakdown of law and order, where looting was carried out, where persons had to be shot, they were basically from the northern states. So what's your take on this?
Well, the fact is, the governor you mentioned, Abiodun and his cohorts,
yes,
know that the issue is not even about elections.
All right.
It is about governance. How has Nigeria been governed under these characters who took the reins of government in 2023? The governance has been very, very below par. Nigerians, all the indices of poverty, the indices of death and destruction has increased in Nigeria. So Nigerians took to the streets to protest against bad governance. They should be ashamed. Characters like Nanuga and Abiodun should be ashamed of trying to bring ethnic and religious sentiments to this issue. For instance, the Southeast decided to just sit back and watch what transpires. Now the riots are taking place up north, where the poverty indices are highest. What else do you expect them to do? They have been spoon-fed for damn too long, and now the government has shown that they're no longer even interested in alleviating poverty up north. So the people in the north are the ones who are championing this, and the idea on Onuga or even Abiodun to step up to the north and make such nonsensical statements, the reality will dawn on them. And for the DHQ, the police, they should be mindful that after the rain comes the sun, after the night comes the dawn. They are not supposed to protect any regime. They are supposed to protect the Nigerian constitution. That's why I will continually urge them to be very wary of the kind of comments they make. When Nigerians come out to protest, you guide and protect them. They should have urged the federal government under Bola Ahmed Tinubu to think of people-oriented policies, to stop the graft, the horrendous hemorrhage of Nigeria's resources, which are taking place under his regime, and focus more on people-oriented policies. And with that, there will be no need for protest. People are hungry. You have beaten the people black and blue, and you say they should not cry. It's not done. Protest is an inalienable right when people are being governed in a very non-altruistic manner. So Nigerians are protesting.
All right. Barry said today is day 2 of the supposed hashtag End Bad Governance protest. There were mixed reactions as to what transpired with many northern states which experienced violence, looting, vandalism and killings, while states in the south saw largely peaceful protests. Meanwhile, Kano, Yobe and Borno states have declared 24-hour curfew to curb the violence that was experienced yesterday. So today, however, the Nigerian police force, they fired tear gas canisters at a hashtag End Bad Governance protesters in Abuja. Now, reports obtained reveal that the protesters assembled at the popular Burger roundabout in Abuja today to continue their protest against the economic hardship in the country, which commenced yesterday. So, journalists who were also covering the protest were not spared as well today, as security operatives tear gassed at various locations where the protesters had gathered. So, here is the thing: as of yesterday, there was an imbroglio between the Commissioner of Police in Abuja and one of the protest organizers, or one of the lawyers who are to defend the protesters, Deji Adeyanju. Now, yesterday, according to what the Commissioner of Police was saying, that the protesters were meant to converge at the National Stadium and not outside of it, that was the court order. Do you think that's the reason why they were firing tear gas canisters at the protesters today? Because they want them to go to the supposed allotted venue that the court had ordered that they should converge in, expressing their disgruntled. But regardless, should they actually fire tear gas at those protesters if they were organizing it peacefully?
That court order that was issued is another descent by the judiciary down the path of infamy.
Okay.
When a court gives an order to faceless people, nobody's organizing this protest. This is just a popular uprising against poverty, against bad governance. And for a court to just issue a court order against places unknown, who did you serve the order on? How did you enroll the court order? So there are things that even our judges do that you begin to wonder. You give an order that the protesters should gather at a particular venue. If a particular person did not even see the order, he's not bound by it. So the effort by the police to shepherd the protesters in is another ruse to create havoc, to create panic. And it's not unexpected. Like I said, when that crisis began was when 5 buses loaded with thugs arrived at the scene. Without those 5 buses loaded and arriving at that place, most likely the protesters would have still remained there. But when those characters arrived, then they had to realize that they have to start heading towards the Eagle Square. So for goodness sake, the issues of the clash between the police commissioner and the people who are protesting was most unfortunate and need not have a reason. But then it traces back to the rules our judges, our judiciary has been put to by the government in its continued quest to dehumanize and cage Nigerians. We should not be encouraged.
Barrister, like I said, a couple of countries actually organize protests when they're not happy with some of the government policies. The United States is not exempted. Britain is not exempted. In fact, just 3 or 4 days ago, a particular community, one of the wards in the UK, they organized a protest because they realized that some persons were carrying out some killings, like knife attacks. And so the government did not stop these individuals from expressing their disgruntled. Now, however, in Venezuela too, there was a protest. This is a very breaking development. There was a protest in Venezuela, and guess what? The military as well as the police officers who were actually ordered to stop or suppress the protest removed their uniforms and joined the demonstrators. It was a striking act of solidarity. The Venezuelan police officers, the military personnel, they publicly stripped off their uniforms, refusing to adhere to government directives to quell the protest. They stood in unity with the people, joining the growing chorus of resistance against the oppressive regime. Now, the protesters are saying that they are clamoring as well for the rights of the Nigerian security agencies. A couple of the soldiers, the police, are complaining that the monies given to them are very small. That is welfare packages, pension as well, all of these things, accommodation, all of those things are not provided for them, and that the protest is also to benefit them. Do you think that the Nigerian security operatives, rather than suppressing or curtailing the protesters, should actually help or support or even join the protest?
Well, the reality is this: the heads of the various security arms in Nigeria, the police, the Air Force, the military, all end up becoming billionaires. And I mean, with billionaires, they acquire properties all over the world. Meanwhile, the officers and men, we see them on the streets. They have to almost extort 100 naira from transporters. They have to extort peanuts from transporters to do a living. So we put this and soldiers whose humanity has been debased by the forces. So it is more of, you have to educate them, to let them understand that these issues, this protest against bad governance, is also in their favor. And I'm sure some of them they realize that they are duty bound to obey only lawful orders. A soldier or a policeman can only obey lawful orders. So if your commander-in-chief, if your chief of army staff, if your police IGP orders you to shoot at protesters, that is an inherently unlawful order which you as a soldier or as a policeman must not obey. Because ultimately, you that is obeying such unlawful orders will be held accountable. So we only hope that all Nigerians, not necessarily police officers or soldiers, every Nigerian should realize that ultimately we all benefit from governance. We all benefit from proper administration. So a protest against urging that we should end bad governance is to the benefit of all Nigerians. And we should not allow these characters who have been overfed, who have become billionaires, at the mercy, at the extent of those that they control, to keep on riding us rough over this issue. So I urge that the soldiers and the policemen should be very wary. Do not obey unlawful orders. Obey lawful orders. You cannot be told to shoot at protesters. They are supposed to be rubber bullets. They are supposed to be tear gas canisters. They are supposed to be water cannons, which the law enforcement agencies have already purchased. You cannot be killing people, killing Nigerians, particularly when the same law enforcement agencies have proven almost pathetically ignorant and incapable in addressing bandits, terrorists, and other militia.
Barrister Ezra Uche, thank you so much for taking your time to